Welcome back, everybody, to the second show of the doubleheader. This is the late night show with Dr. Kojo, checking in from sunny Los Angeles, California. Of course, it's nighttime now, but we're going to be talking about cannabis and mental health. I'm excited to talk about this. We spoke about this many times before, but we're going to talk about it in depth tonight. And I'm going to go on my little rant, and then I'm going to answer you all's questions. So before we get into it, let me know where you all are checking in from. Let's get to it. Kayla says she's here for this one. Kayla, what's good? Happy 420, y'all. Happy 420. You don't have to smoke to celebrate 420. You can just hang with your loved ones and your grandma and your parents and just watch my show and say happy 420. So happy 420. People checking in from Las Vegas, Chicago. Happy 420, y'all. I had no idea this was a holiday for real. People are celebrating. I'm like, hey, people are happy. Let people be happy. Happy 420. Killeen, Texas, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Florida, Michigan in the house, Ontario, Tennessee, Boise, Idaho, Indiana, Missouri, Canada, Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston's a low-key beautiful city. I love Charleston. Georgia, Queens, New York. Hallie, what's up from Ohio? ADHD and 420. Just asking for myself. Let's talk about it. And especially with ADHD, I have some evidence to talk to you all about. Philadelphia. I smoke because it's the only thing I found that genuinely helps me. Pharmaceutical medicine makes my mental state so much worse. All right, let's go ahead and get into it while I have your attention. All right, so we're talking about cannabis and mental health, right? So let me start by saying happy 420 to everybody, regardless of whatever you do. Just happy 420. I'm happy that y'all are here. I'm happy you're alive and you're healthy. So we're going to talk about cannabis and mental health. So I want to start off with a spoiler and let y'all know that there's no psychiatric indication for cannabis. Like we cannot prescribe cannabis for anxiety, depression, all the different things, right? So there's probably, as it stands right now, there's probably more we know about the bad side than the good side. I do believe that there's a good side to cannabis, right? So we need to explore it more. So I'm all for pouring more money into researching cannabis and psychedelics and figuring out what can be done to help out the people. Because if people are still hurting and people still need answers, let's look into everything that we can use. But as of right now, there's no indication for cannabis or marijuana as it relates to helping somebody out with their mental health, right? So let me talk about the good part first, right? So let me talk about the benefits. So one potential benefit, right? And there's no evidence behind this, so this is a potential benefit. What I'm saying is I don't know. I'm human enough to admit that I don't know. I know what the evidence says about marijuana, and I'm going to tell you all that. I do know that if people choose to smoke it, it's better to wait till you're 25 or older, because there's legitimate evidence that shows that marijuana is harmful for the youth. So I hope teenagers are watching right now. There's evidence that shows that marijuana usage for teens, it can be harmful. I know a lot of people start smoking young, but we'll talk about the evidence. But let's talk about some of the potential benefits, right? So I know there's different strains, right? Some strains make you feel high, some strains make you feel low. I only know indica sativa, but there might be something else that I don't know of, right? So when it comes to people, the most common mental health condition, right? Anxiety. A lot of us have anxiety, right? And we're always trying to figure out how do we deal with our anxiety, right? One great way to deal with anxiety is by bringing yourself from the future and coming back into the present moment, right? So I think for people who are fearful or anxious or may have whatever mental health conditions that they're struggling with, a psychoactive substance like a marijuana or alcohol or something like that, it can bring you back to the present, so you're not as worried. So I've had many patients tell me this marijuana helps me. I don't have racing thoughts. I remember one guy, he told me that marijuana was the best thing for his mood. And I was like, what about Zyprexa? He's like, no, marijuana helps me more. So, hey, respect. If that helps you more, I respect it. I can't tell you to not use it. I can tell you, this is the thing that could be harmful about it. But I will always respect whatever my patients want to do. Because I'm just here to help you. But I can't tell you what to do, right? So if you're struggling with anxiety and you're having a hard time coming to the present moment, a psychoactive substance like marijuana can bring you to the present, and you're not as worried. So could it help with racing thoughts? It could, but I don't have literature. Like I have my iPad out here. I got my notes for this because I want to make sure that I'm giving you all evidence-based information. But I don't have evidence that says it helps with mood, right? I don't have that. That's just anecdotal, what people have told me, right? So it could help with that. I think one potential lane for cannabis use is with chronic pain. And this is outside of psychiatry and mental health. So this is not my specialty. It's not my wheelhouse. So it's not really the place that I'm most qualified to talk about this. But I think that when you're looking at chronic pain, and sometimes chronic pain goes hand in hand with depression, right? I've had so many patients that they're hurting and they're depressed, and not everybody is going to respond well to Cymbalta, right? Or something of that nature. So it's important to be as expansive as possible and look into all the different options, right? So when it comes to chronic pain, I do believe that we can research more into cannabis and find the potential use for it there. So I do believe, and keep in mind, THC is different from CBD. THC is a psychoactive component, So THC is different from CBD. Just let y'all know that, right? So I do believe there is some. Yeah, for chronic pain, I can see where maybe 5-10 years from now, we're talking about marijuana as one of the things that could be FDA approved. I don't know. I hope we look into it, but I know that we have to. All of us who are licensed professionals online, I know we dance and we do all this stuff online, but we still have our credentials, so we still have to abide by evidence-based information, right? So those are two potential areas where cannabis can be helpful. Now, let me talk about the problems real quick, and I'll get into you all's comments. See somebody saying cannabis is mother. Oh, respect is definitely not for everyone. I respect that too. Chronic pain can help. Okay. Sometimes I meditate while I smoke it. It helps. Okay. I have celiac and it helps immediately. So look, what Holly's saying, I've had many patients who've told me this, and just from my experience, like the past, because I haven't been working full time. I've been working part time and sparingly. Probably the overwhelming majority of my patients actively were consuming marijuana at the time of when I, assumed care of them. And some of them decided to stop, and I applauded them. And some of them decided to keep smoking. And I said, hey, if that's what you want to do, I will never judge you. I don't know why you're in pain. I'm never going to judge you. Like I'm here, just to help you out, right? So, do you think mental medication work better than marijuana? Angel, honest answer is I don't know, but there's no randomized controlled trial out there, or there's no strong literature that tells me that marijuana is better than Buspar, Visceral, Klonopin, or whatever for anxiety. So until we have that, I gotta go with what the literature says. But look, there's over 700 people right now watching this who are saying things like, "Oh, it's helpful, it's helpful, it's helpful," and I've had tons of patients tell me that this helps, blah blah blah, and it's better than what I was giving them. So I do believe that there's something therapeutic to it, and we should look into it. Cody says, "Favorite." Oh, Cody, for sure. And shout out to Facebook for promoting my content and giving me the opportunity to talk about these topics. I think this is important, right? We're not glorifying cannabis use, and at the same time we're not making fun of people who use cannabis, but I think it's important to know this, right? So let me give you a couple of facts real quick, right? So here are some things that can happen with cannabis that I like to tell my patients about, right? So it can vary your memory and your cognitive functions, right? So if you're part of my ADHD community and you already struggle with like forgetfulness and like you're kind of spaced out, marijuana could make it harder, right? Cannabis could make it harder, right? Impairs your motor coordination, And also in high doses, you can have paranoia and psychosis. And as I was taught in school, with people who have a genetic predisposition to things like schizophrenia, sometimes using cannabis can induce a psychotic episode. So I would always tell my patients, especially when they either have schizophrenia or there's a strong family history of schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and sometimes even bipolar disorder, right? Because we know that sometimes you can see bipolar disorder with psychosis. I would always warn them. I always make sure to never tell somebody don't smoke, or I never say you're a bad person for smoking, but I'll say, hey, here's the literature. I want you to know this and do what you want with this information. But at a minimum, I want to let my patients know what can happen, if you smoke, right? So I just want to tell people, what the literature says. Someone says some weed makes me anxious, some strains have my anxiety, right? And I think this is what makes it difficult to and look, I don't understand the cannabis game all that well, but I think that's what makes it difficult to really like steady it, right? Like if we steady like a particular strain and it was all grown a certain way, and then we said, okay, when we give somebody this amount of whatever, it helps with PTSD, right, or anxiety, ADHD. That would be a breakthrough study, right? And the pharmaceutical, I can't even speak on that, right? Like that's beyond from. I'm not going to go there. But all I'm saying is that as a mental health advocate, I think we should look more into alternative methods to help people out. But until we have the evidence, like I don't feel comfortable telling a patient, yeah, go use cannabis, because I don't have enough evidence right now. So it's all about keeping the person safe, right? Keeping the person safe. And that's beyond your medical license. It's more so you wanting your patient to do well, right? And the evidence right here, I'm telling y'all, cannabis users are increased risk of the following things: an increased risk of motor vehicle accidents, and impaired judgment, which could lead to risky sexual behaviors. And I have this evidence right here from article Bertram et al. 2020. So I have the evidence here. So I'm not making this up myself. And let me pull up one more thing about cannabis and ADHD. I saw some very interesting evidence about cannabis ADHD. I know you all definitely want to learn about that. And Angela saying cannabis saved my life. Respect. I can respect that. I can definitely respect that. Let me look at some of the comments. Indicas calm you down. I love indica hybrids. Respect. If you're too anxious with a certain strain, okay. What about the risk? Intense paranoia and delusions from high THC. Most terrifying experience with my spouse. Things I'm trying to. Right. So what Leah is saying here. This is the part that I want to warn people about. Right now, I always believe in not judging people, accept people for whatever they do, but you have to be very, 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 very careful with especially for people who are teens, right? These are your formative years. Your brain is still forming. So cannabis used during those early stages is, like, I know because I've evidence, it tends to hurt you over time with cognition, and it can really impair you depending on how early you start smoking. And it's funny because I've seen evidence that shows that people who, let's say you start smoking at 26 or 27 or after 25, people who start smoking as adults are able to kind of bounce back faster from like the acute signs of like cannabis intoxication as opposed to somebody who started at 13, so essentially you could read that as I shouldn't smoke until I hit 25, 26. But then again, you're like, if I don't need to smoke, why smoke? But it's just about providing you all with the information. Ooh, looks like my battery's gonna die. Oh Lord, Mickey Ficky. Let me make sure that the battery doesn't die, because then we don't have a live show if the battery dies. And that would suck, right? That would suck. Let me see if I can get it in time. Did we get it in time? All right, we're good. All right, so let me read some comments, and then I'll tell you all about ADHD and cannabis use. Someone says, I have started in 2017, haven't missed a day since. Okay, respect. Uh, um, what about cannabis in a young guy? So with borderline, I've talked about what we use to treat it, right? We use something called dialectical behavioral therapy. And sometimes we will use medications. Sometimes throw in some mood stabilizers or antidepressants, whatever your doctor recommends. But I don't know too much about cannabis and borderline, so I have to educate myself. Let me educate myself before I tell you the wrong thing. Tell you the wrong thing. All right, let me see. Uh, not not a good idea. So Tanya, I stand by the fact that for youth, it I can't tell kids not to do whatever, but I will say please be very for teenagers. You have to be very very extremely careful with cannabis use. In a perfect world, I hope you wouldn't use it, but I'm not here to judge or anything, but I would really hope that you would not use it. All right, so let's talk about ADHD and cannabis use, right? So this is coming from Gerges et al. And Brandt et al. First say from 2020, second from 2018. So pretty much saying that a lot of people with ADHD use cannabis regularly. And then what I found interesting was that people with ADHD are about 3 times more likely to use cannabis as compared to those without ADHD. I think that's fascinating. And then Bierhoff et al., the article from 2019 says this cannabis use is especially likely to happen when the ADHD symptoms are more severe. So if you're really struggling with a lot of inattention or hyperactivity and impulsivity or however ADHD affects you, if it's very severe, sometimes the cannabis use is more likely. And another thing which is interesting is cannabis use is more likely in those with the predominantly hyperactive impulsive symptoms rather than the predominantly inattentive type of ADHD, right? So this is coming from Laughlin et al. 2014, this article. So this makes me kind of think like, okay, because ADHD is not just one thing. Think of it as like a spectrum, right? You have the inattentive, and you have the combined, and you have the predominantly hyperactive impulsive side. And if the cannabis use is more likely with those who are on the hyperactive side of things, I had a good friend. I had a good conversation with a friend of mine who regularly smokes, and I was asking him, "Do you think?" And he doesn't have ADHD, right? So I said, "Do you think that these users who have ADHD, hyperactive type, who are using cannabis, do you think that they're using cannabis to slow them down?" So is that the intent? So that was a very interesting back and forth. And let me see. So y'all ADHD is an ability. Okay. Let me. So what Kato is saying is true. This live will be saved after the fact, right? So if it's too late for you, you have to go to bed or whatever's going on. The live will be saved after the fact. So just keep that in mind. Deborah says, this is the first 420 I haven't smoked weed in years. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom, place to dispose. Deborah, I'm happy for you. I respect it, looks like you wanted to stop and you're able to do that. So I'm happy that you're able to do that. And stopping is difficult too, right? A lot of times you have vivid dreams and all of a sudden, changes in your appetite. That can be quite difficult, Let me see. They know. Courtney says, I smoke marijuana for PTSD. Do you think that's okay? So Courtney, this is all just general educational tips. I can't tell you whether it's okay or not. Like if I had a patient and they were telling me that they use cannabis for whatever, PTSD, ADHD, I can't tell them, hey, you need to stop. But I would say, hey, this is what the literature says about cannabis. This is what it could do to you. Another thing that we know is it can really help to, not help, but it can increase motivation. So depending on whatever your struggle is, If you're already struggling with low motivation and you're using a lot of cannabis, I mean, hey, so that's something that the evidence does support that. So I just let people know, hey, this is what can happen, but if you feel like it helps you, like I can't stop you, but I just want people to be aware of like some of the dangers that can accompany it. You know, so I think one thing that I really want, yeah, Sarah, you can't be judgmental because like, and I really believe my patients, like who say, like the guy who said, cannabis is better than Zyprexa for him, right? I can't prescribe cannabis, but I know how Zyprexa works, so it's like, hey, if that works for you, I'm like, hey, maybe if it's got you this far, like, hey, I respect it. I can't judge you, but all we can do is, provide the information. So I think that's very um, important. Rachel says, totally want to use it more when I'm impulsive and almost manic. Okay. So what Rachel's saying is kind of in line with, could be in line with those who have ADHD, the predominantly hyperactive type, be more likely to use it than, the other side of ADHD. The article from Laughlin, 2014. And it's important to have the evidence here. So I want people to know that I'm not making this up at all, but especially for my people who have ADHD, like keep in mind that if you're already struggling with impaired motivation and you add something like cannabis in, you could have a harder time getting up to do something. But I don't know what you're going through. Maybe it's worth the trade-off, right? But that's something that I think we should look more into. And somebody's saying smoke the correct strand. All right, so here's the thing with the strands. Well, actually, I don't know how the strands work. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows how they work. Probably some people know how they work, but like I don't know. Like when I was in school, they didn't teach me about the strands. They didn't teach me about how that works. So I don't know. So I have no knowledge on what the correct thing is or what like I would just never at this not never at this moment right now. We don't have evidence to say that this strand beats that one. But the moment that we do, like we'll start talking about it. But right now, I don't know. Right? Let me see. Cody got me on here. Oh, the pet and the good IPA. Sarah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Wow. Oh, so Nicole. Wow. I never even looked at it from this angle. I have cannabis dependency because of my eating disorder. So, as we know, it does affect your appetite, right? So it lets your appetite, you all have seen the memes about the munchies and all that. So, and this is something that with the geriatric population, they sometimes they struggle with appetite. So you can make a case for somebody who is maybe hospice care or somebody who's older. Maybe you can make that case, right? But more than likely, or at least from my side of things, that wouldn't be the first thing that I go to. I would think about something like Remeron or a medication that can help to increase appetite. This depends on what's going on, but I see where you're going. But I think this is why. Look, and also with eating disorders, with mental health in general, it's important to create a safe space to where people know about the fact that there's clinicians that want to help you out, and that you don't have to like be ashamed to go get help. But especially with eating disorders, like especially with eating disorders, they can be quite dangerous, right? So if you're ever able to get like professional help, that's the answer, right? I mean, that's always the answer, but that's especially the answer here. Thank you for sharing. I really, really appreciate that. And Shante, correct. Smoking is not the only way to consume. I'm in California, right? So they have edibles, they have drinks. I mean, look, there's so much, right? But it's still cannabis, right? So I know it would affect you differently, but it's still cannabis, and the evidence is still like the evidence, right? Let me see more what people are saying. Helps keep my fiance more level. He has BPD. His mood swings practically disappear. So Angela, look, if this is look, I've worked with so many patients who have borderline personality disorder, and I know how hard it can be. Like it affects your relationships, it affects all parts of your life, right? So if that's what y'all found, I respect it. Like once again, I can't say, oh, keep doing that, or that's the answer. I think we should look more into that, right? But it's not just looking into like cannabis. I think we should look into anything that can help people out, right? And once there's studies that have been done on it, then we have more options, right? Like you all know the work has been done to help, educate people about ketamine, right? Ketamine is now, or S-ketamine, Spravato, is a nasal spray helping people with treatment-resistant depression, right? So the more we do, the more we pour money into research, the more we know that we can recommend things while we know what the thing does, right? Like we have to know what, and I think, because I had a patient ask me, he was like, why can't you just like tell me that this works? Like, why can't you just tell me that, like marijuana, like, why can't you just tell me that marijuana works better than this? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, the worst thing that you can do, and I remember, shout out to my preceptor, Dr. Ono, back at the VA in Augusta, Georgia. He'd always tell me the worst thing that you can do is to lie. If you don't know the answer to something, just say, I don't know, and let me go find the answer for you. And that's been some of the best advice that I've received in my career. Because if I don't know, I'm like, hey, I don't know. I don't, like, at this moment right now, I don't know what, cannabis do for mental health. Like, I don't have the information. I don't have the research. So let me use what we have, right? And then, I might start talking about Zoloft, Prozac, Risperdal, Lamictal, lithium, all the psychotropic medications that we use. And maybe the person might not like that. They may want to try alternative methods, right? So I think, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to try an alternative method, but one of the main takeaway points that you all should get from this live, for those of y'all who are watching now and for the people who watch the playback, one of the main things to take away from this live is, if you are interested in, cannabis or an alternative method, there's nothing wrong with that. But please run that by your mental health provider, your primary care provider, your doctor, your PA, your NP, whoever. It's okay to be upfront, right? And I would hope that you all would run to a provider who is non-judgmental and not somebody who is like another person who smokes, because it's important to let them know, hey, I do X, Y, and Z. Because it's not that we want to judge you, but we need to know, right? And certain supplements and certain things can interact with your medications, right? So we want to make sure that we keep you safe. So I think if you have a provider that you can be upfront and transparent with, then you're on the right path. You're definitely on the right path. Rebecca says some people. Yeah, Rebecca, you're right. Well, every antidepressant, Rebecca, really? Every okay, well, you don't have to try every single antidepressant, Rebecca. After a couple of trials, like if you've gone 6 weeks, and or let's just say somebody went 3 or 4 months, Zoloft didn't work, Prozac didn't work, Celesta didn't work, and then Effexor didn't work. Then my first thought would not be cannabis. At that point, like you'd be running like a medical workup, like what's up with the thyroid, or if I'm stuck, I have no shame in saying I don't know what's going on. Let me call one of the OGs. Let me call an OG who knows more than me. Figure out what's next. Like, do we want to do ECT? Like what's going on? But my mind never really goes to cannabis next. But look, maybe in 20 years it'll be different, right? This is just in 2022, right? Maybe it'll be different one day. Let me see. Opinion on. Let me get some. Okay, let me refresh the comments. So, well, Aaron, works for some people, doesn't work for other people. I had a patient who took Zoloft to change his life, and some people are like this doesn't work. I respect it. In a state where medical marijuana is legal, who is to prescribe it, and could he prescribe it for? So once again, I'm not fully sure, but I think that practitioners, because I have never like recommended or I've never done the medical marijuana thing for any patient. So I mean, that was never my specialty. My specialty was just general mental health, ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, mood disorders, thought disorders like schizophrenia and things like that. But I think that somebody can make a recommendation, but like I don't think you can prescribe. I don't think you can prescribe it, right? Um, Zero says pro cabin song for no respect. A good thing or not a good thing? Let me see. Right. So, Mary, we just need more evidence, right? Not to say that it's a bad thing, but we just gotta get some more evidence, right? Um, Adderall's only thing that helps me get out of bed, and cannabis helps me night. I want to find a way to naturally feel okay without alcohol or meds. All right, so Hannah, I mean, this is a good topic to take up with your provider. Like let them know, hey, the medication in the morning, the stimulant that you gave me is helpful. I like it. And at night I have to use so and so, and I don't want to do that. So what are some of my options? What can I do? And some people who have ADHD don't want to use meds, right? And some look, I had a patient who back in the day he was taking antidepressants and he didn't want to take them anymore. And he was like, Dr. Sarfo. So this is before social media took off for me. So I wasn't I wasn't Dr. Kojo. I was just like Dr. Sarfo or Sarfo, you know. Sometimes he was prior military, so he said Sarfo. And then he was like, I don't want to be on X, Y, and Z anymore. I think I'm doing really good. And I'm like, okay, you've taken this antidepressant for over a year. You've done good. I said, all right, let's slowly try and like wean you off the medication. And I was a little nervous because I'm like, but I'm like, hey, everybody has a right to be on something or to not be on something. And if they're able to make decisions for themselves, yeah, sure, why not? So we slowly went off of the medication, and he did great. And last I saw him, like he was in the community, he had a job, yeah, he was doing good, right? So he didn't have to be on the meds because he didn't need to be on it, but it was under the supervision of a licensed professional, right? So if you don't want to, be on, Adderall or, or take cannabis at night, nothing wrong with that, but talk to your provider. Maybe they take you off the stimulant or something like that. Like I can't do that because like I'm not your provider. And in regards to the cannabis at night, they probably, I'm not sure what they do, but most likely they make a recommendation and say you want to try some different things. What I recommend to a patient, I mean, I recommend this to patients who they still chose to use cannabis. I said that's fine. Like I'm not gonna judge you. Like I'm not gonna ghost you because you didn't listen to what I said it. But I say try and work on like a nighttime routine. Like work out 5-6 p.m. something like that. Get you a nice little nighttime routine. Maybe put something on TV around 6-7. Try not to eat too late. Wind down. Don't be on your phone too late, so that way the blue light is not suppressing the melatonin. And if you're able to sleep at a good time for like a week or so, over time your body gets adjusted to like, oh, every night around 9 p.m. we naturally get asleep and we're in bed by 10 o'clock. And then we wake up at 6, right? So if you can, or sometimes people have to use melatonin or, but there's definitely hope for you if you, use cannabis at night. Yeah, Rachel, yeah, you have to be under the supervision of a licensed professional. Yeah, but yeah, I think sometimes people think that they have to be on meds for the longest. No, I've had people who have come off the meds and they've done fine. And I've also had people who have come off and not done too well. Or sometimes people just stop it because they felt better and they were like, what's up? I'm alive. You need me? All right, that's my sister. Jay, what's going on, Jay? Watch a lot of your videos. I appreciate that. Um, if you take, so you can't judge. Well, Gail, you can't judge regardless. I mean, you can, but you wouldn't want to, right? Let me see. Moves for time. I'm weak. Tips for coming off of and Daniel, I would talk to your provider about that. You know, there's ways that people gradually get off of those meds over time. Let me see some more questions. Okay. All right. All right. Let me see what some of these comments are. Um, every class of antidepressant. Okay, Rebecca, I'm sorry that you had such a bad experience with all of them, but I respect that. And Terrell says, Terrell, I see your comment. I'm getting to it. Are we quiet about the opiate? Let's opiate. Well, look, I've never prescribed like the pain pill ever, so not my wheelhouse, but I think I definitely think that there's a lane for cannabis with chronic pain, and I would definitely love to. I would love to support more money and research that more, because I think that could be a better route. Could. I'm very careful with my wording because I'm not sure. I don't know, right? So like my word selection is very important for this live. Could, maybe, possibly. I'm not sure. I think unless like I have the actual literature in front of me. Okay, can't just say hey to my sister. Let me see what other comments are here. Let me see. It's a qualifying condition in Ohio. Okay, respect. No, and I yeah, Shante, hey, I don't know. If somebody gives me a grant to do a study, I'd love to look into it. I would do that, provided I have the time. I have to make sure that I have the time. I don't want to commit to something that I can't pull off. But I would love to work, with an institution and let's do actual research, because until then we don't know, and if we don't do research, then I have no interest in trying to, promote, something that we haven't researched, right? Let me see. Can you just she went upstairs. Oh boy. Let's see. Let me see where. Let me try to get some better option than. Okay, all right, Rebecca, I respect it. I mean, Xanax has a bad name. I think a lot of people. There's a stigma of Xanax. There's definitely a place for, Xanax. Admittedly, it's not my favorite thing to prescribe, but I mean, it can be helpful for some people. Definitely helpful for some people. Samantha, if you're Middle Tennessee, then I already like you. You must be a Titans fan, and if not, just go along with it, please. Yeah, Brenda, we will definitely have that live about grief. We'll definitely have that live about grief. What's your pain on? You're talking about rejection, sensitive dysphoria, and smoking. Becoming anxious. Well, so elaborate more on that, Samantha. I need to know what angle you want me to take. I need to know what angle you want me to take. I have bipolar, ADHD, and depression. I take meds and smoke weed. Is that bad? So, Lewis, this is how I would. Good question. Good question. I'm happy I caught it. This is a good question right here. What I want to say is, for the conditions that you have, right? My best recommendation for you is to like talk to your doctor and let him know everything that you take, including whatever they prescribed you, and then also whatever you take on the side, and get that individualized like answer for you. I'm all like, if you ask me, I'm always going to say only put things in your body that have been given to you by a licensed professional, right? I'll never take anything else unless we're having this live 10 years from now, and then the science has changed. But as of right now, and for the foreseeable future, I would say only take things, and that's for everybody. Only take things that a licensed professional has prescribed for you, because before we prescribe, I don't know, lithium or whatever. Like we know what the medication does. We know that with lithium, patient has to stay hydrated. We know how how it works with the kidney. We know that it's a narrow therapeutic index. We know you have to get your blood drawn. We know that if it's too much, we don't want that. We know that helps reduce the suicide risk. So like we know what we know about the meds, and we don't know what we don't know about the things that we don't know about. I think I'm running circles around myself, but I think that makes sense. I think that made sense. Maybe did it? Did it make sense? I think it made sense. Craig, I appreciate you, Craig. Thank you so much. The support on here is great. I really appreciate you all. And I like being accountable to something, like doing this show every time at the same time. That's really good for my routine. And this show is new. Like I've never done this before. So it gives me a chance to switch it up, which is good for my ADHD brain. Tabitha, this is live. This is fully live. This is fully live right now. Yeah, like I have your comment on, and I hope you're still on here. So a lot of people ask me this question. So I can only see patients in certain states, and I had it set up to where I've seen people in 3 or 4 states, and I've scaled back for now. But I will make a comeback one day, and I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to do that. Amma, you're being ratchet. Oh boy. Tell Jalen I said hi. Hi, Jalen. I give her a hard time because I can hear her. But what was I talking about? So yeah, I scaled back for now because I have to be in the best possible position to take on patients, but I'm planning a comeback, and I'm hoping that God expands my territory. I would love to come back, but I want to come back the way I want to come back. If we're being honest, like I want to, I know that there's money out there to fund certain projects. Like I want, like I know I'm in Hollywood, in LA or whatever, but I want to like have low cost clinics. If we can get it free, cool. But I want to have like low cost clinics around the U.S. and even like internationally. Like I would love to do that. It'll take some money to pull that off. So I don't know when I'll make my comeback, but I'm gonna make a comeback. I'm gonna make a comeback. Trust me, I'll make a comeback. Gail, I appreciate you, and Brandon, I appreciate you. And look, it's a very. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's kind of scary to have conversations about things like cannabis online, because it's like, not that I care about what people think about me, but amongst your peers, you may get judgment, and of course, nobody, like, people know that I'm not out here promoting and telling people to smoke or do whatever. But it's such a taboo topic that nobody talks about it. So like people are left wondering, like, like, is this good for that? And we don't know. So it's good to talk about it, right? So it is a little scary to talk about it because it's not the most popular thing to talk about, right? So we have to be scary. Yeah. So we call each other ratchet, but it's playful, joking. Let me see. Oh yeah, Shante, I'll talk about it in my book. I'll talk about it in my book, which came out in 2019. And I think I talk about it more online as well. I don't have a Texas license. I don't have a Florida license. But maybe one day we live in a world where you don't need a license for each state. Whenever I come back with my big plan. Jessica, I can post more about that. I don't think I've talked too much about excoriation. Let me see. Jenny, I look, yeah, somehow I got to be the guinea pig and talk about it. But I mean, all my, this is backed up by evidence. Like the articles are there. So as long as I make sure that, like with a topic like this, as long as I make sure that I'm giving evidence-based information and not I woke up one day and decided to say something, then you should be good. Yes, what's going on? Yes, I haven't seen you on Facebook before. How you doing? Um, oh, Ashley, I gotta give Ashley a love of the show, and I didn't even know we've been rolling for 45 minutes. I was trying to do two shows tonight, 30 minutes each, but I always get carried away because I could talk for a minute. But yeah, go ahead and get your water. We'll do water break in about 2-3 minutes. So in about 2 minutes, somebody dropped the magic word in there. But let me answer this question first. Low cost mental health services would be great because it's much cheaper to get cannabis. All right, so yeah, yeah, I gotta give Ashley a love of the show. And this right here, this is the reason why I don't blame people if they choose to go this route. Now, obviously, like the evidence is still the evidence. I would still rather you go see a licensed professional and take things that they prescribe as opposed to you being your own doctor. But when it's easier to like, how much will it cost you to go, find some cannabis, right? Or edibles or weed, whatever, that cost versus the cost of going to find a psychiatrist, or actually, let's just take it to all the psychiatric providers, right? Psychiatrist, psychiatric nurse practitioner, psychiatric physician assistant, and then also let's throw in PCPs, primary care providers, right? From PAs to MDs to DOs to NPs, right? So PCPs, NPs, DOs, MDs, psychiatrists, the people who can treat mental health conditions, right, and prescribe medications, the prescribers, how much will it cost to see a prescriber versus going to be your own doctor and doing your own thing, right? One option is noticeably cheaper. So once again, I'm not telling y'all to do that. Like, I would rather you all go the proper route that's evidence-based, but I don't blame people for I'm just being real. I don't blame people for for doing that. Let me see. It was I live in Florida. It was so Rob says he could get an 8 for $60. Yeah, I don't know, for $60. Can you see a? That's the issue right there. That's the issue right there. And look, yeah, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe we can. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get to work with the president or somebody or a governor and figure out how to pour more money into. Because look, I think I don't want to get too off the topic, but I feel like if you work in mental health, right, there, from the social workers, right, to the psychiatrists, like, salaries should go up, and even beyond that, there should be mental health services also for the mental health providers, right? Who takes care of people that take care of people? There should be programs to allow more people to go to school to become therapists, to become doctors, to become nurses, and things of that nature. So the system is like I see things and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like not to say that we have to pay people before they want to become a therapist or whatever, but it should be lucrative. Even social workers are criminally underpaid. Like, I think now I'm a little bit off the wall maybe, but I think social workers at the minimum should make like $100,000. They do good work, So I don't know. Oh, you guys is new to Facebook. What's up? All right, you all drop the Rob. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the love from Florida. I'm happy I get the help. You all go ahead and drop the magic word in there. Drop the magic word in there. Let me see. Oh, Phoenix, I talked a little bit about anxiety at the beginning of this video. See if you can catch it on the playback. $300 therapy, 30 an ounce. There's a problem right there. It's a problem right there. You should be able to. This is 100. Yeah, so I have to figure out some of these, and it's hard. Like if I endorse a program or whatever, like I'm putting it online to like millions of people, so I have to. I need to really know what a program is offering before. Like I have to send it to my assistant. I have to send all. I have to send it to my publicist. I can't just promote a program, because if I promote a program and then like I find out that they were stealing money or whatever, then like it's gonna be like we can never listen to Kojo again. Like he's out here promoting whatever service, you know. Uh, close, close to Mickey Ficky, close to Mickey Ficky. But that's not the magic word for the water. And Rob, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the love for the reels and the shorts. Uh, counseling, so I think it can be helpful. Well, no, I think it can be helpful. Like if you have counseling and meds, you are in the minority. You know, because it's hard for people to get just one of those. So if you can get both, I'm like, all right, like you know, we're doing good then. Cheers, cheers, cheers. 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 We're professional. Right. In Phoenix, it's so much easier to promote my own stuff, right? Because like I'm well aware of what I'm doing. But promote another service, like like it's almost like a fear of mine to promote a service that's like low cost and affordable. And then all of a sudden I'm like, they were frauds, right? We need bubbly effect. Once I learn how to do bubbly effects, I'll do it. I just don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. Lauren, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, so all right, I do gotta pee. I gotta pee, and I gotta spend some time with little sister because it's her last full day in LA. So probably I don't know, play the Oculus or something, or listen to some Billie Eilish because I became a fan at Coachella. I'm like, this girl's talented. I'm like, this girl's amazing. Like she's like that. So gotta head up now. But this is a great chat. This is a great chat. Today is what, Wednesday? Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. So I'll be back tomorrow for the last late night show, late night Dr. Kojo show. And hopefully we'll have like a new border. I'm trying to like have like a new border on this show. So until then, you all take care. And thank you so much for your attention. This was a really, really good talk, and it was a tough subject, but you know, I think we did a good job. So until then, y'all have a great night. I saw Billy the Greek. Yeah, yeah, she's like that. I'm a big Billy fan. All right, y'all take care.